You're going to be redesigning the personal morning routine experience, but of your partner. Now, this sounds a little bit odd and sounds a little bit private. So you mean you don't share anything more than you have to about your personal morning routine experience. But the point here really is that you're not designing for yourself in your little team there. You're designing for your partner all the time. You are the designer and your partner is the user. So you have to find something in your partner's morning routine experience that you can actually redesign for them. Okay? That's the whole point. And as you get into the steps, you will actually both be a designer and a user. See, that's the smart thing about having a pair. So you'll alternate between those two roles. So first you'll be designing something for your partner, and then you switch over, and your partner becomes the designer designing something for you, right? So it's back and forth in those two roles. It'll make sense once we get started, okay? Start now. Just, by thinking a little bit about your own personal morning routine. What is that like? I mean, Louisa, you're the only one away from home, so maybe you don't really have a morning routine in Copenhagen yet, but then just think about what you used to do back home, okay? We all have like things that we basically do over and over again every single morning. What wakes you up, right? And what's the next thing that happened? Are you then jumping out of bed and starting to dance, or are you just hitting the snooze button 6 times? And what happens after that, and after that, and after that? And what is your most favorite part of the whole morning routine, and what's your absolute least favorite part? Think just a second about that so you're ready to go into an interview with your partner now. This is where you bring out those sheets of paper and you'll be taking notes on them all through the exercise here. And of course, we'll start with number 1, which is an interview. So you're just going to write down what you're doing in your interview or what you're learning in your interview. And I'm going to have these little slides here. And in some of them, you're going to go out in breakout rooms. In others, you're going to be sort of working individually, and then you'll just stay here, right? But first, I'm going to send you out into breakout rooms to actually do an interview with your partner. So obviously, I'm going to put you into teams, completely random. And then first one, or let's call him A or B. A interviews B, and then you actually come back to me here after the breakout. And then I just make sure everything is okay, and I send you out again, and then you switch over, and B interviews A. So A starts with interviewing B now for 4 minutes about that person's morning routine experience. And what really makes a good interview, if you want a little tip here, is not necessarily to get a lot of facts, I mean, how many cups of coffee does he drink, or how many, what time does she get up, and things like that, unless it's extreme, of course. No, what you're always looking for in an interview are the emotions, right? So you want, in a way, to try to understand what goes on in their head. What is it that they feel? And a really good way to doing that is to constantly sort of ask why. So you pose a question, you get a reply, but you don't stop there. You don't just write that reply down and then move on to the next question. No. You go, why? And then the person gives you another sort of deeper reply, and you don't give up, and you go, oh, interesting. Why is that? So you keep sort of going deeper and deeper. You're actually quite annoying, but what you're getting at there eventually is some of those important emotions. So just ask a lot of whys, okay? Does it make sense to you what I'm asking? Out in 2 breakouts or in a breakout, and just the first session is A interviewing B for these 4 minutes. Okay, so let me just create the teams here really quick. Let me just see if we can do this automatically. A sec. There we go, and we have them, and the room's open. All right, see you later. Hey, you're back.
Hi.
How did it go?
Good.
No problems. It went fine. Fantastic. Because I'm kicking you out in breakout rooms again, and now you basically just switch roles, and it's the other person interviewing in the same pair. Okay. So remember, why? Be really annoying and ask into those emotions. See you in 4 minutes. You're back. I hope you're learning a lot here and that it's working for you folks. Because you actually now get a chance to do a second round of interview. And this one, and you can turn to your page number 2, I think it's called Dig Deeper. And that's exactly what you're going to be doing now. So I'm pretty sure you've heard a lot of things in your first interview here. And some of those things sort of caught your attention because they were either completely weird or, very charming or, just something that seems like this is where there is an opportunity, right? So what you want to do in the next round of interviews, again, 2 interviews of 4 minutes, is to dig deeper in 1 or 2 or 3 of those things that stood out. So just take a look at your notes and see, oh, this sounds interesting. I should learn more about that, and then dig even deeper there on that. So, of course, what you're looking for in these interviews, these rapid interviews, is that element of your partner's morning routine experience that you can actually redesign for them, right? So you want to sort of zoom in a little bit on something that stood out in the first interview and then really go deeper, deeper, deeper. Does it make sense? So you're not coming back to me here between the 2 interviews, so I'll send you out for 8 minutes all in all. Keep track of the time and sort of switch over after 4 minutes. So we go 8 minutes instead, and you're off. Now I'm not sending you out to breakout rooms for a couple of steps here, so now I can sort of see what you're doing. That's going to be much, much better. You probably learned a lot already, and the next step, which is also turning to the next page actually, is individual. So you're not really talking to your partner now, and you're just staying on Zoom here. And what you want to do is basically distill what you've just learned through the interviews. You probably can't put everything that you've heard into it. You can't sort of solve every problem that you've heard about. So you just have to choose. But a good way to making that choice is sort of to, distilling the needs and insights from the interview, where the needs would be something that your partner is trying to achieve. Maybe they're trying to become more efficient, or maybe they're trying to become more relaxed, or maybe they're trying to become more loved, or any sort of need that you have there. And I would say that insights, it's also a good thing to write down, are sort of little nuggets of information that you've discovered there, just things that are too good to sort of let go of. Like if your partner said something that really stood out, like completely crazy or completely endearing, that's an insight. So now you want to write those things down, and that's your step into actually zooming in on the problem. But first, see if you can distill some needs and insights. And you do this individually, just in peace and quiet, and you get to look at my beautiful animations, and you get music as well for 3 minutes, folks. Go for it. Time's up, folks. I hope you managed to sort of analyze a little bit on all the insights or distill the insights there, because we're moving on to the next step now, which is also an individual step. And this is actually where you completely narrow down and say, based on everything that I've heard, and based on those needs and insights that I just talked about, now this is the problem that I'm going to be solving for my partner. So again, you cannot solve all his or her problems there, but you pick one. So this is a little bit hard because you actually have to make a choice now. But the good thing is you can make any choice you want. It doesn't have to be by any specific criteria. So maybe just pick something that you think could be fun to solve for them, okay? And what you want to do then is sort of write down the problem statement. I'm going to solve this and this problem for my partner because they have said this and this. So you have it crystal clear in front of you. It shouldn't be like a whole dissertation there, just a few lines. So make that choice right now and articulate a short problem statement, all right? Can you do that individually for another 3 minutes? Okay, now you are at the stage where you know exactly the problem that you are now attempting to solve for your partner, right? You have it written down there and it's based on some really great interviews. So the next step here is actually coming up with ideas. So now we open up the doors here and you are supposed to come up with at least 5 rough ideas that will solve the problem that you just defined. And you want to switch to your next page there about sketching ideas and maybe just make 5 little windows on it so you can put in 5 very rough ideas. And I know that it's very hard to come up with ideas actually. And oftentimes it's like you have one idea and then number 2 is a little bit of an iteration on that. And the third is a little bit, but I hope that instead you can just go an explosion of ideas and come up with 5 very different ideas. And listen, folks, this is tricky because now it's not about writing words, it's about sketching. It's about making little drawings of your ideas. And I know that, well, some of you probably say, hey, I can't draw, I don't know how to draw, but this is not an art class, folks. So I'm an architect and I can't really draw, or at least I can't draw anymore. So let me just show you how ugly you can actually draw something here and it still makes sense. I mean, here's a man, right? And well, he has arms and he has a face and hair and everything. So there's your character. And then we can sort of draw a house also there. And that's a really ugly house. And maybe it has a car. That's an even more ugly car. And now you can start telling a little story, you know, like he goes out and then he takes his car and he goes off and something bad happens there, right? This is really, really bad drawing. This is so ugly that, I mean, you want to die, but it communicates. And that's the whole point. So don't be, you know, scared of making stickmen and ugly drawings, or maybe we should call them diagrams that you can explain a story with. Are you ready to do that? Bring out your big fat pens and make 5 great ideas here in 5 minutes. Ideation over. Did you make some great ideas? Could you just hold them up to your camera so I can see what you did? There is something going on there. Fantastic. So now we are going to have a little bit of a technical challenge here because I'm going to send you out into breakout rooms with your partner again. But of course, your partner has to see what you sketched for them, right? So either you could, if it works, hold up to the camera, or you can take out your smartphone and take a picture of it and send it somehow to your partner. You can send it in the chat in your breakout room. Or if it's too much, then just hold up for your partner. The whole thing about the next step is actually to get feedback on your idea. So what you want to do now is, again, first A and then B for 4 minutes, sort of walk your partner through the ideas that you sketched for them. Like say, okay, here's my idea number 1, this is how it works. And then the job of your partner is to give you feedback on that idea. And feedback is not just, yeah, I like it, no, I don't like it. It's like constructive feedback. So it's almost like a little bit of co-creation where your partner, who's the actual end user, can say, yeah, maybe that would work, but what if we did this and this and this, right? So it's not just yes or no, it's like, hey, we can tweak this. So your job now is to go through all those 5 ideas with your partner and get their feedback as users, right? And then take notes on the next piece of paper that you have lying around there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm sending you out without, you don't have to come back between the 2 sessions here. So just keep an eye on the time and switch over after 4 minutes. Does that make sense to you folks? So get some good feedback And don't be afraid, to give ideas to your designer there. All right? See you soon. Hello again. I hope you learned something valuable about your ideas and you were able to sort of tweak them a little bit with your user there. Because the next step is individual and you stay here without going out into breakout rooms. And it's basically thinking about the feedback that you just got on all your ideas and maybe just taking the best of the best and then turning that into your one big idea. It could also be that there are things from two ideas that could be combined, and that will then become your one big idea. But just as long as you end up with now one idea on the next sheet of paper there, and you can sketch and you can write at the same time, it doesn't matter now, but you have to narrow down to one idea, okay? And get some music to do that. Fantastic, folks. You have one big idea now, and now we move to the next step. And this is not something you do on paper. This is something you do physically. And this is where you bring out all of those materials that you have collected and you build a physical representation of your idea. Now, if we were all in the same room, the purpose would be that you could then, after 8 minutes, take that prototype and put it into your hands of your user and say, here, this is what I made for you. Test it out, give me some feedback on that. That's going to be a little bit hard to do, but you can still build something three-dimensional and tangible here. So it takes a little bit of creativity to turn something that perhaps is an abstract idea into a three-dimensional thing. But you can use all the tricks. If you are creating sort of a new layout of the person's room, then you can draw a plan and you can move things around. If it's an app that you've created, you can just write or sketch, different stages of using the app, or maybe it's something completely different. But you have 8 minutes to do this, staying here with me, bringing out all your materials and building something that eventually you can show to your partner. Are you ready for that? Go. But I hope you built some great prototypes. Could you just hold them up so I can see what kind of thing they look like? I just have to have a little feel here for what you're doing. Hey, hey, stuff is happening there. So last step is that, well, you can't put the prototype in your hands of your user, but you can hold it up to the camera or take a picture and send it, whatever worked for you before with the sketches. Get some feedback, first A from B and then the other way around, 3 minutes, 2 times 3 minutes in a breakout room, don't come back, and put the comments on the last piece of paper. So share your prototype and get feedback. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, if you're the user, you can actually help them improve. So go out into your breakout rooms and get some feedback on this. And you're back, and you did it, guys. Congratulations. You now graduated in crash course design thinking here. So I hope you had fun. I so much miss to be in the same room and get all the noise and laughter and things like that. At least could you do me a favor and just send me a photo at some point of your prototype? Just take a quick photo and send it to the email that I put in the chat. Thank you so much. This is everything that you guys have been through, right? All the steps that you took here in design thinking. And of course, it all sort of lines up onto these 5 big phases here, going from understanding your user to actually testing your idea. And of course, In normal life, you have more than 1 hour here. And in normal life, you would also go back with the feedback you get and then ideate some more. And you might even redefine based on the feedback and go into these loops, iterating and iterating. But you've tried it. Now we have something to talk about. Now we have something to reference. And we will be talking about it, of course, in the next class.